What's this? Adobe Video? No way. So basically, I am going to play devil's advocate a little bit here today and have a look at the new feature on InDesign. It's a new AI feature that uses Adobe's Firefly technology, and they've placed it into InDesign to, I guess, speed up the process of creating documents and things like that, page layouts, and just adding images straight into picture frames. And basically, I do have to use Adobe products in a workplace. Affinity hasn't quite reached that kind of market yet. So being that Adobe is always pushing ahead with AI, I thought I would have a look at this feature, and more or less, I guess the day will come when my supervisors will say, "Oh, can you use that new feature? And what's your opinion on it?" So if I'm producing a document like this with some text boxes and some images, I might have a theme, and I'll show you some of the ones that I've been playing around with and give you some thoughts on whether or not it's what its purpose might be, whether it would be ready to use in a workplace. So I do my own document creation, and I'm also an artist myself and have been for a long time, and in more recent years become more involved in graphic design in digital art using mainly vector and obviously paint programs and things like that. You can check out my art. Here's a shameless plug. You can check out my art at Kano_White, and it's just more prints, paintings, drawings, things like that. Not any digital art. So I'm making this document. I've got some text boxes, and I'm probably given a theme. I work for a not-for-profit that does a lot of things with helping people get solar panels on their businesses and homes, things like that, wind power and all that sort of stuff. And I might need some stock images of people looking at standing in front of solar panels or families or things like that. So it's sort of got a positive swing to it. So I would end up with a bunch of text and some images that are going to help sort of sell that maybe a workshop or an information session or something. And this would be a flyer that would be mailed around and probably pinned to community notice boards and things like that. So one of the problems with stock photography that I've always found is it's almost too good. It's almost too polished. Not all of it, but when you're looking for something that's a little less in production value, maybe something more community focused, you want to feel like this is genuine. You want it to give that sense of, oh, this is something it's approachable and it's not overly formal, it's not high budget. So you want to feel like the photos you're taking are of regular people, probably people in the community. And with probably one of the issues with AI art, as we've seen, is you can always sort of tell that it's AI art. And now I think people are so oversaturated with it that they just don't get to a point where they just don't believe it. They there's something cheap about it, I guess. And so, yeah, the question is, would we use this in a workplace? I feel it's important to give some context and at least think about it in that workplace sense, because I think InDesign is probably the more workplace oriented of the Adobe suite. So how does the workflow go? Well, it's pretty simple actually. It doesn't seem to appear by default, but you just have a text to image panel here, and I've already got it on my work. It'll pop up on its own, and then you just basically have a prompt box, and whether you want art or photo, and then what dimensions. If you use a photo frame, you can actually do shapes as well, but if you use a photo frame, it gives you the option of fitting to the frame dimensions, but that comes with some limitations I've noticed. So I thought I would create something that I might use in a workplace setting. So say I'm going to advertise, you probably wouldn't have this many text boxes. You'd have headings and like menus and stuff. I wanted to create some hamburgers and just see how it goes. So I just typed hamburger first, and I got this funky space age images, which is obviously very typical AI art nowadays. That's sort of the default AI art. Then I made a funny text box, and you just type it in and it just generates and gives you three options, and then you just choose an option. If you want more, you just press enter again and make more, and you just keep going until you're happy, I guess. I wanted to try an odd shape, and I did the same thing, but I did hamburger realistic and photo, and it doesn't create a design that is going to fit that frame necessarily. I think it does for most basic frames like squares, rectangles, things like that. But anything more extreme, you're going to get a cropped image. So it's selecting from already, in some ways, already curated images, I imagine, like a library of images that are based on prompts and people, you give feedback and stuff like that. So it's refining it slowly. This one, obviously, it's in a round photo frame and it's just I think I wrote hamburger line drawn art or something. And it gave a selection of line oriented. It's got this thing about mountains in the background for some reason. I think maybe that's just because I haven't been specific. So that was like the problem again with AI is like they all look different to each other. They're kind of inconsistent. I guess you could maybe use the same prompt and kind of at least grab some similarity to them or something. I don't know, but maybe that looks similar. But problem is, say you're a business, you want to show that you're producing quality products or good value products, and if you're covering AI images all over your advertising material, it's going to give not a very good look. I actually was in a pub yesterday and I noticed the menu items on a screen were actually all AI generated. So it is happening. But what message is it sending the public? That's going to be interesting as time goes by. The next one was I do a little bit of stuff, as I said, with energy and solar panels and things, and I just wanted to create. This is something I actually had to do. I had to have families in front of solar panels. That was the brief, and I thought this is an interesting request. I went online and found a lot of photos, but a lot of them are just very high production and not sort of community, not like a real family taking a photo of their family. It's like a professional photographer with models. They don't often look related, and you can tell it's not real, and that wasn't the vibe we were trying to give off. So I've done some prompts with some different styles. The first one was this family. This was the title was family in front of solar panels. No, family looking at solar panels. And obviously this is a very strange image, as AI tends to do. This one, they're kind of precariously balancing on a wall with a concrete thing. The figures look like they're not too bad. The hand is a bit funny there, but we've seen all this before. And then another one. So this is a family. We've got a family there. Got the solar panels. So it looks very much like a photo that's been cut out from the background, and this sun that looks very artificial. Yeah, so like I personally wouldn't use any of these pictures, and fixing them would be more work than just looking harder for a stock photo that fits the bill. Next one is I tried to do artworks. So I've seen some okay artworks. So yeah, another same prompt, but I just did art and family looking at solar panels, and that's what we ended up with. It was this cartoon looking kind of painted look with the mountains again, and then this solar panel is disappearing off into the vanishing point somewhere there, which is a bit strange. Next one was sketched, I think, or something like that, or maybe it was the same prompt. So it's got a little library here. Yeah, I definitely changed the prompt. I wanted a line drawing style. Yeah, so really at first glance, its strength is this sort of hand drawn look and more basic sort of thing. Problem is that again, like I would not use this because the panels look all funny and it just wouldn't fit the description. You're trying to advertise solar panels and they look all bent out of shape and everything. The figures, they look almost just cut straight out of something else, but I know they're not. But the style and everything, it looks very cut out. And the problem is always, oh, I like this figure and this figure, but what about changing this figure? And because it's all flattened, it's pixel image, you can't do it. It takes more time to modify that than to maybe just find a better image or create an image if you're an illustrator or talented enough to do that and to make it part of your brand. So you've got this common image, you put the time in and create a really strong image, and that way you can use it in more than one way. But I guess the interesting thing is I'm not sure if this is real, if this is something they've done yet or not, but if it creates vector images that are unflattened, that would be an interesting addition that would allow for a lot more flexibility, and that again would be concerning for digital artists. I mainly do vector art. I enjoy the flexibility of it and also the challenge of using vector to create art and the scalability and everything. Another one I do is I thought I'll do like a realistic horse anatomy, and the prompt was realistic horse anatomy, and it created these just wild AI looking images, and it looks so detailed, but then you look and it's all just like Mid-Journey and everything. It's all just nothing. It's no function. It's all just copying other detailed images, and it's just not. And all I typed in was horse anatomy or something like that, And you get just this sort of random, aesthetically pleasing, but when you look closer, it's always the same. This one was interesting. It's like this idea with like a skeleton, and it looks like a photo, just a photo of a horse in a museum or something, and then a kind of rendered horse underneath it. So modifying that or using it would be really difficult. And I think I had a few more that were interesting for that one. So yeah, that looks like a 3D render, but looks realistic for the most part, except the skull there and the back leg, it looks all weird, and the tail's got a lump on the end. The more you look, the more you see how wrong it all is. And it's not fit for purpose because it's a complete finished image, and it's got a little flipper instead of a leg, and no head, and all this sort of stuff. So I guess it's not. Is it usable now? I personally, I think it's very limited. Like maybe that style, simple stuff, but not anything photographic, anything that requires consistency. Maybe I'd have like more images and infographics and things about solar panels, and I might put a little picture there just to break up the monotony of the text. Just a little picture where you can't see too close, but it's very new, and they're trying to get a lot of feedback, and it's got a long way to go. So yeah, I'm interested to hear your thoughts. It's hard to do this video sort of quickly, so it's taken a little while to get through. I guess looking at real world situations, and if you use this in a workplace, do you find it is useful, or do you feel like it's just not quite there yet? It needs to be developed a bit further. Obviously, those of us who love Affinity, I use Affinity outside of work. I only use Adobe when I have to, really, and it is interesting to see what they're up to. But obviously, Canva buying Affinity it'd be interesting to see where they go. Whether they just say, "What this isn't what we want to do. We're going to go in our own direction." But this is the sort of thing that a person who's not a designer, they might not see a problem with using this stuff and just not bother with paying artists anymore. And that's obviously what's happening in a lot of other fields. And also these software algorithms are trained using artists' work. So it'll get to a point where there's just so much AI art that the training is being trained by secondhand art, but it's just going to get more and more sophisticated. And I think the amount of resources that Adobe's putting into it shows that people are actually using it. And I guess there's just going to be a time for each creative person, every industry, to make that distinction of, okay, what can we use it for? What can't we use it for? And I guess go through that teething period. Yeah, keen to hear your thoughts. What do you think about all of this? How does it feel seeing this kind of technology in InDesign, and how much further can it go before that's it? It's over for digital art. It's over. We can just use AI for everything now. Personally, I don't think that's the case. It's a long way off that, but yeah, keen to hear your thoughts. Okay, have a good one.